Mrs. Casey, you've been married to the defendant for less than a year. Due to your husband's trust issues, you're worried you won't make it to your 1-year anniversary if you don't prove he is the biological father of your son, Jacob Hatfill. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hatfill, you say sleeping with the babysitter landed you in a marriage with someone you don't trust. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hatfill, did you have a good relationship before the marriage?
Yeah.
Did you have trust issues then?
Right about the time that we were finding out that she was pregnant.
That's supposed to be a happy time. What happened?
She hadn't told me she'd quit taking her birth control or anything yet. We were talking about planning for the future and a possible children in the future, not immediately at that moment.
So you have trust issues?
Yes.
But at one time, this relationship was a happy one.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mrs. Casey, take me back to that time.
I had started babysitting for his family. I saw him, thinking he was a cute guy. And we started chit-chatting, and he had said they had told me the rules. It was, no running in and out of the house because it was hot that day, the air conditioner was on. Make sure the kids don't go in and out of the house, and no sleeping with the babysitter on duty.
Really?
I thought it was love at first sight.
And so you instantly fell for him?
Yes. I've been the side lady, and now I'm the main one. We're married, and I want this to be a happily ever after with my little family.
And so, Mr. Hatfill, you slept with the babysitter. Broke
Eventually.
the rules.
But it was after hours. It wasn't during the time of being babysitting or anything like that.
It wasn't?
No. And me and Andrew proceeded to talk from that moment on.
So you started dating?
Yes.
How did you get to a place where you thought she actually had slept with someone and Jacob may not be your biological son?
By coming across text messages in her phone.
Oh.
I have.
You've brought some to court?
Brought some to
Jerome,
court.
may I see that evidence, please? Thank you.
You're welcome. They would be to Miss Casey from somebody she was with prior to me.
And so these text messages read, "Are you up? What are you doing? I just got off. Can I come by?" They're all questions with no responses. At the time she's your wife?
Before.
And right before she got pregnant?
This was right after she was pregnant.
Okay, what it signaled to you was, if this was going on right after she got pregnant, was it going on right before?
Exactly.
Miss Casey, you remember these text messages? You recognize them?
Sort of, kind of, yes.
So who could it be, sort of, kind of?
This guy had messaged me, asked me to be his mistress whenever he got married. I had told him flat out no.
When did that start?
It had happened after we had gotten pregnant. He was messaging me, asking me to hook up. I kept telling him no. I kept telling Mr. Hatfill about these messages.
Was she honest, Mr. Hatfill, about the fact that this ex was reaching out, asking her to be his mistress?
After it was brought up to me, yes, she was honest, but I still felt like there was a missing side of the conversation.
And this was a guy she was intimate with in the past, am I correct?
Yes.
When he sent these text messages, you did not respond.
Correct.
And so, Mr. Hatfill, do you believe she did not respond?
No. I was currently staying at her parents' house, and I was sitting in the garage with one of her family members when the guy in question had come in the back door and knocked on our bedroom door.
He was looking for the family member.
I felt like he was looking for Miss Casey because the supposed person he was looking for was sitting in the garage with me.
Oh.
When the door come open and he realized I was sitting in the garage is when he spun around, grabbed the supposed person he was looking for and his current girlfriend and turned around and left. He also had made an appearance later on that evening when he had brought them back, knocking on the door while me and her were lying down in bed at about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning.
What?
So that tells me that there's something more than just these mysterious text messages.
Miss Casey, who in their right mind knocks on somebody's door at 12:31 in the morning, period, much less a woman they used to sleep with, unless they're interested in sleeping with her again and looking for her?
He was looking to take my family member's girlfriend at the time home.
Not at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning when he come by, it was your name he was saying.
I didn't hear that.
Wait a minute.
I was asleep.
You said when he was knocking on the door, he was saying Miss Casey's name?
Yes.
But you're not pulling the part to where you cheated and you had other girls messaging you while I was still in bed with you. We were sleeping.
Right.
We were supposed to be sleeping, and you
You're
were
right.
sending nude pictures to another girl.
I haven't said any of that because all this doubt that's here
Yeah,
that's
so
caused
I
a
was
problem in our
doubted before
relationship
we even
is the whole
conceived
reason
Jacob. We were
that
still in
I even
Camargo
went
whenever
stepped out
you were
then.
still sending naked pictures to other females, and females were sending the same pictures to you.
Now we're getting to the meat of this, okay? Because I couldn't understand how a perfectly happy couple, it was love at first sight, don't sleep with the babysitter, but I did, but it worked out, and we so happy, and then all of a sudden, change the channel, and we got trust issues out the wazoo. So let's be honest, and that's why we're here. Mrs. Casey, did you have revenge sex with this man to get back at him because you thought he was having sex with his ex?
No. I've never once cheated on him in the 3 years.
So why is it when we saw those text messages, we don't see a text that comes after that that goes, stop texting me, I'm married?
Because he had blocked me on Facebook. I had blocked him, he blocked me.
How you gonna block somebody and you're waiting for them to respond to see if you can come over and have sex with them? That doesn't even make good sense.
Because his girlfriend had found the messages.
So she was looking at him, and then at that point, he realized it and blocked it.
Yes.
This is so messy. You're saying Jacob doesn't look like you?
No, he don't.
He does. I'm fair-skinned. It doesn't have to be the dad's. He doesn't have to be, like, if you would look at
What
no,
color
I mean,
hair does this other guy have, since you say
Brown
it doesn't
hair.
look like you?
When he was younger, it was sandy, strawberry blonde. Now it's a little bit more brown during more time he spends in the sun. Now, my father and me share dark hair, dark complexion, all the way through. I passed those genes down on into my oldest son, and he looks exactly like me, exactly like my father.
But it doesn't matter because he could have both sides of the family. He could be a strawberry blonde and blue eyes.
I want him to be my child. I signed the birth certificate. I was there when he was born. I'm not denying him one bit. The reason why we're here
Your
today...
family's bringing this up. There's text messages from your family saying, oh, you might as well go find Jacob's dad because you're not him.
Was that a conversation between me and them? No, it wasn't. That was
It
a conversation
was, though.
between you and them.
But they're denying him that he's yours. You've denied him when he was 2 weeks old that he was not yours.
So,
2 weeks old.
Miss Casey, after you had the baby, just 2 weeks later, he started to deny?
Yes, because he came out with the blonde hair and blue eyes.
And you're also receiving pressure and texts from his family indicating that they don't believe.
It makes me feel like I'm just a tramp or whatever, that I just, open my legs for anybody. I don't. I've been faithful to this man for 3 years. I want my family to be whole. I don't want it to be broken up.
I understand.
I hope I'm wrong
Well,
with
you
all
are
this.
doubting him.
I have doubts in everything to do with it. I need to be sure so I know how to take care of this boy.
And these doubts started to occur during her pregnancy.
Yes.
Yes.
And so throughout the pregnancy, you had doubts.
Once I started having doubts, it came to a point to where a month or two later, I basically broke it off with her. I stepped away from the relationship. I sent her back to her mom and dad.
He told me we were
Yes,
split up.
I did.
He told me he loved me and we were still together. He couldn't wait to see me and everything else. So we weren't fully, he would come to see me.
I would, because you were pregnant.
But you told me you loved me. We still
And I do love you. I did love you then.
contact when you were with another female, though.
Just because I was
Still
staying there
sexual
don't mean I
contact.
was sleeping with her at the time. That was a
But
place
she
to
said
stay.
that you guys were, and you were still sleeping in the same bed with her.
And again, so
This
did
is during the marriage?
No, this was during whenever I was first pregnant.
So did the guy that these text messages and everything else were from. He said he was sleeping
No,
with you during the
I've told you that
time.
millions of times. I've never once cheated. I've been faithful to you for 3 years.
Mr. Hatfill, you said there's also medical reasons why you believe you are not Jacob's biological father.
Jacob has one kidney. He's had to have surgery. He has to see a urologist every 6 months to once a year now. I've been there every step of the way from birth to now with the boy.
And
do
I can see
everything
that makes you
for him.
emotional when you talk
And
about him.
I just want to be able to take care of him the best as possible and get everything between me and her better, because to take care of him and his brother the best that we cannot have this back and forth. It's bad for the kids. It teaches them bad habits. It gets them yelling and screaming at people, and then they feel the tension and they don't want to mind or listen. We got to get this under wraps now before it gets any further out of control, or we're going to have to step back from each other. I just want to know what we need to know for Jacob.
And I know it hurts you. I can see that. You bring this baby, you help bring this child into the world. You say you've been with them every step of the way.
Every step of the way. I missed one sonogram. During the time of all this, the doubt and everything taking place, I was getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd be at work by 6 after an hour drive. I'd work 10 to 15 hours a day and then come back home, and then this is what I get.
And you believe, Mr. Hatfill, that this is further proof that you are not Jacob's biological father. Explain to the court why you believe that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know anybody in my immediate family, let alone in my family tree, that has any of the same issues.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's hereditary. The doctor said it can't be hereditary. It could, but then it could not.
Doctor also said that it's more likely hereditary on one side or the other if it does not fall with the Down syndrome gene, and Jacob clearly does not.
We have an expert here because I am very interested in hearing more about birth defects or this particular issue of being born with one kidney and how that potentially relates to paternity. So the court would like to call Dr. Tasha Rogers to the courtroom. Jerome, will you please escort her in?
Sure. Have you go up to witness stand next to the judge.
Okay.
Watch your step going up.
Okay.
Hi, doctor.
How are you?
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are here discussing paternity of a beautiful little 12-month-old boy, Jacob. He was born with a medical issue, having one kidney.
Okay.
And our potential dad, Mr. Hatfill, he's confused as to whether or not this is hereditary. First thing I want to ask you is what's the difference between birth defects and genetic defects?
Okay. A birth defect is a random error of conception that has no genetic basis at all. A genetic defect is when the chromosomes of mom and dad come together and something happens.
Understood. And so if a child is born with one kidney, could this defect be considered hereditary? And if yes, what's the likelihood that it's inherited?
Okay. When we talk about having one kidney or renal agenesis, it is what we call multifactorial, meaning it is multiple reasons, and we're not exactly sure why. It can be environmental. Is mom on a medication? Has she been exposed to some toxins? Lifestyle, obesity, drug use, alcohol use, or very rarely, is it genetic? And that's if there's a mutation. So even if it is genetic, dad could simply be, or mom could simply be a carrier, meaning they could have both kidneys, but just carry the gene.
And here, I believe Mr. Hatfill testified that Jacob does not have any such mutation. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so given that fact, how does this relate to the possibility that this could affect his doubt concerning his paternity?
The genetics of it is minimal. We give minimal weight to genetics in it. So it's no way of saying that he's his or not based on that.
So the fact that he really has had these sleepless nights thinking, this child was born with one kidney, I wasn't born with one kidney, no one in my family, that really has no true basis.
None.
And yet if somehow they miss this mutation, then it could possibly be a genetic issue?
It could be, yes.
All right. So the question is, will this marriage survive
I hope.
if he is not your biological child?
There's going to be a serious step back in the marriage.
Because this foundation is feeling very faulty right now.
That's the way it's felt to me for a long time.
I mean, even the energy between the two of you standing before me, you would have to tell me you married. No, I would not know. The stakes are very high today.
Yes, they are.
But I'm very thankful that we have answers for you. Jerome, I'm ready for the results.
There you go.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Casey versus Hatfill, when it comes to 1-year-old Jacob Hatfill, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Hatfill, you are the father.
Sorry.
Actually, I'm relieved, to tell you the truth. You know, you all know I don't know these results, okay? I was like, Lord, come on. But really,
It's my birthday.
It is? Well, what a blessing. Really, truly. What a blessing. And I can see it meant something to you. I could almost feel your breath stop as I was reading the results. And then when I read it, I could hear that sigh of relief. And it's a beautiful thing to get the truth. And I'm happy for you both. Because at the end of the day, the genesis of this was something beautiful. And then we let trust issues affect the foundation of this family. And ultimately, it affected the way in which we view this beautiful, innocent child. And I can see that affects you because you knew it was affecting it.
Mm-hmm.
And just as you so eloquently stated, everything that goes on in that house, they understand, they can feel the intention behind the words. So I'm so happy we got this truth today, so you all know. Thank you, doctor, for giving us that insight. But more importantly, it's in time to focus on him. Mm-hmm. Ms. Moore, you say there is only one reason the defendant, Mr. Butler, has doubts he fathered your 1-year-old daughter, and that's because of his manipulating wife.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Butler, you argue you've been told on multiple occasions by the plaintiff herself that you are not her child's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You state that Ms. Moore has fabricated paternity claims in an effort to win you back. Ms. Moore,
Wow.
has Mr. Butler been involved in your child's life in any way?
If you're talking about diapers and wipes, that's it. That's not a father to me at all, period.
Only diapers and wipes?
That's it.
All right, so look, let's talk about why we're here. Mr. Butler, you obviously have doubts.
Yes, Your Honor.
What are those doubts?
She told me I'm not the baby daddy.
So she told you that?
One time was because he was harassing me, him and his so-called quote-unquote wife.
So you admit, Ms. Moore, you told him you're not the child's father?
One time.
What happened? How did that conversation happen?
It's happened because she told me I'm not the dad. She told me I'm not the father.
Why would she tell you that?
The baby don't even look like me.
Now, your wife is jumping out of her chair. I guess she knows the story better than you do. Which
She always
most
got something
wives
to say.
do, huh?
She always got something to say.
Come on in here. Miss Harrison, it is. Your husband says he was told by Ms. Moore he was not the father of the child.
Your Honor, on numerous times.
One time.
Numerous times.
One time.
That's a lie.
Harassment.
Really harassment?
Harassment.
I ain't never
You
harassed
and your
you a day.
so-called husband.
Whatever.
That part.
Your Honor, I
That
was
part.
getting my hair
That
done.
part.
I was getting my hair done at one particular time when she was on the phone. He had her on speaker. And she told him, you're not the dad. You don't have to do nothing for this baby.
Harassment. You're
Yeah.
right.
You heard it
You're
yourself.
right.
I heard it
Firsthand.
myself. Not only
She
that,
did hear
these
it.
texts right here.
She
Your
did
Honor.
hear
What is
it.
it? Jerome, will you pass me that evidence, please?
She said her and her husband does a good job of
Fiance,
taking care.
and he do.
No,
and he do.
That's a text
and he
that
do.
was sent
and he do.
to me.
He has been a much better father than Quincy.
So
Trust that.
this evidence that's been presented says, from Miss Carter, my husband do a good job keeping me and
His
baby
Exactly,
good.
because he stepped up. He stepped up, and my daughter is going to call him dad. He stepped up. Quincy's not around. Quincy never been around.
So,
He never been around.
Miss Harrison, you're saying this evidence, this text proves you believe it's her husband's child?
I believe, personally, Your Honor, it doesn't. To me, I believe that the conception dates are all wrong, because how can you tell somebody they pregnant in December, but you have the baby in July?
Excuse me, correction. I was 7.5 weeks, December 11th.
Okay, but you would not have had your baby. You would have not have had your baby.
But did I
in
have
July.
sex with you?
No.
Did I have sex with you?
No, you
You're
didn't.
not a man. You're not a man. You're not a man. I
You
had
had
sex
sex
with
with
you.
him,
And you
but
know
I've been
damn well
messing
that's
with
your
him for
baby,
almost
period,
2
point
years.
blank. Do you
Ladies.
believe it? You married it. You tell me.
Miss Moore, Miss Harrison. It's classic, right, Jerome? It's always two women going at it over some silent, nothing to say man.
Back and forth.
But it wouldn't even be
Now
me and her going at it.
listen. What we're gonna do here today is get down to the bottom. We're gonna figure out how we got
do.
here.
Thank you.
We're gonna
Please
get
do.
the truth, and we're gonna figure out where we go
Thank
from
you.
here.
Thank you.
But what we aren't gonna do as ladies is degrade ourselves, act a fool up in here,
All she gotta
and
do
we're
is
not
leave
gonna
it
be
alone.
disrespectful and use disrespectful language, all right? I want to understand the story. So listen, let's now talk about why we have the doubt, because that's why we're here. Ms. Harrison, you say the conception dates don't add up. Now, please explain to the court why you believe that's true.
Because if you told him in December that you were pregnant, your baby would have been born in September, because my daughter is September 22nd.
And so,
She needs to learn her math. Go back to school.
and so
That's what
hold
you
on,
need to
Ms.
do.
Moore.
Go back
Ms.
to
Moore,
school.
Really?
Moore, explain to me, why is she wrong?
Because when I got pregnant, I had left. Quincy was doing so much cheating. I found his last two babies and my baby and his last baby is 2 weeks apart. I found that out. I found that out on his cell phone, and I found it out because he had his last girlfriend's EBT card. The baby looked just like Quincy. Now, if she can't do the math, that's her problem. She needs to sit down. December 11th, the doctor told me I was 7.5 weeks.
So that means November.
November then?
And the baby was born.
July.
July?
July 26th.
26th.
I had 2 dates, July 26th or August 5th. I had an
Okay, so a
emergency
week-
C-section on July 26th. Was Quincy anywhere to be around?
No. You
No.
didn't tell me.
When he came with bags. When Quincy always come with bags. That's
You
just
tell
like
me.
the beginning of this month. Quincy came with bags.
When you
thinking
say
was
he
about
came
to
with
stay.
bags, what does that
Yes.
mean?
When Quincy come with bags, he thinks he's about to stay. He's a leech. He is a leech. And his so-called wife told me that over the phone. It's always, if I call Quincy, it's always her. Her.
Because
And I
I'm
feel
his
like
wife and
I
it's
don't
one,
care.
one,
But
one.
that doesn't make sense though. I'm his baby mother and I have to talk to him, not you. I didn't make no baby with you.
It don't matter.
And I
He's
keep
married to
saying
me.
that. And I keep
And the
saying
money
that.
comes from
And I
me.
keep saying, okay,
So
so
at
can
the
I
end
get
of
you
the
for
day-
child support then? Since he on SSI, can I get you for child support then?
Whatever you want to do, baby,
Exactly,
go for
and
it.
I'm finna do it.
Okay,
and I'm
go
finna
for
do
it.
it.
Thank
And
you.
I need that.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. When you first found out you were pregnant, Ms. Moore,
Correct.
did you tell Mr. Butler? Did he
No.
accept
No,
the
no, no.
fact?
No, I didn't tell him.
You didn't?
My mother told
Mother
him.
told me.
Okay.
Not her. Her
I want
mother
to talk
did.
to your mother.
I
Ma'am,
said
please
that.
stand. Please state your name for the court.
Katrina Gutter.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, you told Mr. Butler that your daughter was pregnant.
I called him and I said, you know, my daughter is pregnant. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, she's pregnant. And he says, well, I'm going to be there for her. I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to take care of the baby. All of a sudden,
No, Your Honor.
there is no Quincy in sight no more.
Mr. Butler, do you remember having this conversation with
No, I
Miss?
didn't. No,
You
I
never
don't.
did?
No.
So, what facts, evidence, knowledge do you have that Ms. Moore was sleeping with anybody else but you at the time?
Another dude. That's all I can say.
Who is the other guy?
Another dude.
While me and Mr. Butler was in the midst of our relationship,
I
One
wish
of his-
somebody would get to the
one of
answer
his
to my question.
one of his friends called him and told him that that she had
They
another
have
man.
no evidence.
All right. So
My
once
daughter
this
don't
friend
cheat.
told you she was sleeping with somebody else, you thought what? This baby might not be mine?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Moore, let me ask you something. You say the birth was very difficult. Tell me what happened that day.
When I went into labor, I actually went into labor. I started having labor pains on the 25th. On the 26th, my blood pressure went sky high. When my blood pressure went sky high, my doctor came in and told me that my baby heart rate was going down. So as it was going down, she was getting less oxygen. So they had to get her out. And when they got her out, I did not see my baby. I went to an emergency C-section. When I got out of recovery for 45 minutes, I touched my baby and signed my baby off to Pomona Valley Hospital, which is the city that he stays in. He's right. I did not tell him where my baby was. I know how mental he is. And I feel like I don't want that around my child. So when you go see her, I want to be there with you. When I got out the hospital, I called Mr. Butler. He do not answer his phone. I call him again. He do not answer in his phone. I'm not finna keep on calling you. I'm not finna keep calling you. That's what I'm not about
Your
to
Honor,
do.
that's a lie, Your Honor. She ain't never called me.
Yes, she
She ain't
did.
never called me and told me that my daughter was at Pomona Valley
My
Hospital.
daughter now.
She never told me that, Your Honor. So at the end of the day, I don't know who baby it is.
The reason there's another doubt is this picture.
Jerome, will you pass me that evidence, please?
Oh, that's me and my fiance. Like I told you,
Okay.
he stepped up.
This is the
He
same
stepped up.
man that
Went to
she's
every
been-
doctor's appointment.
That looks just like
Went
him.
to every doctor. No, you a lie on that
They
one.
look just alike.
My fiance is way finer than him, so
And
knock
then,
that off.
Not only that, Your Honor, the other reason is the baby doesn't carry his last name. Doesn't carry the last name. She's never shown him the birth certificate.
So your concern is that there may be another man listed on the birth certificate.
No.
Because you've never seen.
I have evidence right here.
I never seen that birth certificate the day of my life.
Right
I
here.
asked her about it.
Here you go.
Day of my life, I never.
Jerome,
This is the birth
hand me that.
certificate. It's me and me only. I was the only one there besides my mother. If she could have been listed, I would have listed her as the father.
Yes, no father listed.
My daughter has
Name of
my
father,
last name.
blank. After Zamara is here, at some point you do reconnect.
Yes, after he made a hospital visit, after my baby had left, then yes, when she turned 2 months, because there was so many doctor's appointments, including while I was pregnant, I was seeing 3 doctors at the same time. And he knows that. He knows that.
I
So
don't know
after
nothing about that, Your Honor.
You were
Nothing.
there at 1 or 2 of them?
Nothing. Nothing.
You was
I
there.
never went to none of them doctor's appointments.
Wow.
None of them.
Wow.
You've never been to a doctor's appointment?
Probably one of them. That's about it. That's about it. One of them, Your Honor. One of them. All the rest, I never went to none of them.
You wasn't around. You choose not to be around. That's your baby. I don't see why you don't see it.
She do not look like her.
Okay. Okay. Well, you don't have to step up. I'm already here. Don't even worry about that.
So, at the point you do reconnect him with the child,
I go to his auntie house, who he was living with at the time in Pomona. I go over there. I take my baby to see him when my baby is 2 months. They taking pictures. This my last dime. This my last baby. I want to be with you. Taking her downstairs to see his friends. His auntie say, well, the baby look just like you. This is the first auntie that said my baby looked just like him. Recently, he sent his other auntie, which is his mama's sister, to Victorville as a DNA test. I don't know how, she didn't swab or nothing. I guess it's just eye vision. She come up there and say, well, I gotta tell you this, taking pictures of my baby and all of that. I gotta tell you this, your daughter looks more like Mr. Butler than any of his other kids.
now,
Tell the truth for
this
one time.
other gentleman that I saw in the evidence you submitted, this is the man you believe is Samara's father?
Might be.
I wish so, Your Honor. I pray to God and I wish that I would have messed with my fiance around the time I got pregnant. I wish. He has stepped up in so many ways that Quincy have never been. That never
'Cause they
been.
keep me
so
away
as far
from that.
as far
Keep me away
as
from
my
that
daughter
baby.
calling my fiance dad, I'm going to grant it.
How we keep you away? You was
I'm
just
going to
at the
grant it.
house 2 weeks ago.
So he was supposed to be there to live.
The single point I'm trying to understand is it true that you decided you'd maybe go and stay at Ms. Moore's house with Zamara? Were you gonna go over there?
Tell the truth. You're on dog.
Yeah.
So you did. And you thought, and was it because you felt like this was your daughter?
Yes, I did.
You did. Okay. So it's almost like you've got 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
Yes, I do.
That's because it's being tugged on.
I'm playing tug of war, and I'm tired of playing tug of war. If it's come back to be my daughter, I want to see my daughter today, because probably when I leave here, I'm not going to never see her.
And what is it? You feel like Ms. Moore wanted to be with you, and since that didn't work out, Zamara's her way of getting back at you?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Yes, ma'am. I've been in tug of war because I felt like she's using up Mike Zamora as a pawn tool to get back with me, because truthfully, she's unfit, and she's she using me as a bait tool. Like she's wanting my money, all type of stuff, Your Honor.
So you feel like she's trying to use you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, look, we're in court. I have to be honest. This conversation you're having right now, is this something you truly independently feel?
Yes,
or are
ma'am.
these things that you talk about with your wife? Because you're in a difficult position. You may have a baby with one woman and you're married to another woman, and they obviously don't get along.
They ain't gonna never get a
So, are these things that you feel like, is your wife kind of egging these thoughts on, or are these your independent thoughts?
my own thoughts.
So now my last question is, if these thoughts are true, when you get into an altercation with your wife, why do you run to Miss Moore's house?
I don't. Well, I do get in an altercation with my wife, and I runs over here to see if this is my baby or not. A year and a half, it's been a tug of war with this baby.
All right. Well, I think there's only one way to get to the results.
Please.
Is to have the envelope.
Get it over and done.
Thank you, Jerome. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Moore v. Butler, when it comes to 1-year-old Zamara Moore, and as to whether her biological father is Mr. Butler, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Butler,
Yes, ma'am.
you are her father.
Now, look at her.
Do what you gotta do.
I'm done.
Do what you gotta do.
Thank you. You completed everything today.
You're very welcome, sir.
You feel better?
Yes, I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Now you can start being a dad.
Based upon the papers submitted to the court, I can say I have never seen a case like this. Mr. Nicholas, you have brought your wife to court today.
Yes, ma'am.
You claim you cannot be the father of 4-year-old Naomi or 1-year-old Nathaniel because your wife is a habitual cheater and she cannot be trusted. You say you have shocking evidence of your wife's outrageous sexual infidelity, including encounters with strangers in public places and affairs with your co-workers. Mrs. Nicholas, you actually admit that you've made some mistakes in your marriage, but you claim you have now turned your life around and you are a church-going woman who deserves another chance. You state that once these DNA tests prove Mr. Nicholas is the father of all of your children, you are hoping to repair your marriage. Mr. Nicholas,
Yes, ma'am.
feel free to
All right.
enlighten the court.
Let me tell you this first of all. You know, the sushi spot I used to work at, is a hot silk. People come in and out. Some guy comes up to me and tells me straight up to my face that my wife is performing oral sex in the bathroom.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You're at work
Yeah.
at the sushi restaurant.
Yes, ma'am.
And a guy just
Yeah.
comes up to you.
And tells me that she's performing oral sex in the bathroom.
Hold up, rewind.
During your shift.
Yeah, during my shift while I was working.
Okay, and then you did what?
I continued working. What am I supposed to do? I couldn't leave my job.
And so were you ever able to prove or disprove that this really happened?
No, ma'am. That's the problem. I couldn't, it's allegations coming from other people. You know, I
Okay,
can't.
so that's hearsay. We never got any proof on that.
Hold on, first of all, why would I bring a guy to a girl's bathroom? It's the mall.
Come on now, you have so many stories about yourself.
I
right? The
messed
pizza
up in the
joint?
past. That was
Yeah.
the past. We're in
Yeah,
high
but
school
got
that
your-
time.
You got a high school reputation. Come on.
I know I have a lot of boyfriends and all that and mess around.
What about all the stories that other people are telling me? Like Great America.
I didn't do nothing with
Okay.
him. I just kissed him. It's my old.
I'm almost afraid to ask, but please tell me that story.
What, Great America?
Yes.
Yeah, we're in high school. You know, we're high school sweethearts. We've been together for a while. And then, she comes up and tells me straight to my face that she made out with somebody.
I just am telling you the
That was the very
truth.
first time she cheated on me.
That was the first time.
Yeah, that's when we're in high school.
That was the past. We're in
Yeah,
high
but you
school
got
that
your-
time.
But what about all the stories that other people are telling me? Come on now.
All right, so tell us these stories you're talking about, Mr.
The
Nicholas.
Transformer rides. Okay, let me get that straight down. She went into the Transformer rides with my 7-year-old daughter. Okay, I'll tell you that straight up. I sat down because my 1-year-old son and my 4-year-old daughter can't go on a ride. All right, so I had to watch them. And then after the show was done, some lady comes up, tells me straight to my face that my wife was having sex in the ride.
Having sex, right? First of all, why would I have sex while my daughter was in the ride with me? And the chair moves. Come on. I'm not that dumb.
Yeah, let me get my point straight. Then why did my 7-year-old daughter come tell me straight to my face that you're jumping up and down some dude's lap?
So your daughter came off the ride that she was riding with her mom and told you, mommy's jumping around on some
dude's lap. That's you know, after the old lady told me. The lady told me your name.
No, my name? There's a bunch of girls named Angela. Come on now.
I'm trying to...
Come on, there's a lot of people named Angela.
Oh, yeah.
It can't be me.
On the ride at that time with their 7-year-old child. No, what I'm trying to understand, Mr. Nicholas, is who
Your
are
Honor.
all these people that just feel the need to tell you about your wife all the time?
You know, I didn't close it myself. I don't know I don't know if everybody wants trying to break us up or what. I don't know.
All right, any other thing you'd like to
Yeah,
let
the
the
pizza
court
joint.
know about your wife's infidelities?
Yeah, for example, the pizza joint I used to work at. You know, my manager. She was having an affair with my manager. So tell me that.
Oh, yes. I'm being honest with you. Yes, I did have an affair. On top of that, every time I try to talk to you, you're just not there for me.
Yeah, just because he's been buying you diapers, all that.
Diapers? Yeah, every time I ask you, you just take off. You spend your money on something else. Come on now.
So she asks you for money for the diapers, for the baby.
Yes, ma'am.
You say you give it to her.
No.
You say he does not.
That's what you're doing.
And then
because I'm stressed out because
ask his coworker to get you some diapers.
And I need someone to talk to, and he was there to comfort me.
He's not. You sleep with him too. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. How did you find out that she had slept with the coworker that got the diapers?
She told me she left her panties there.
I did not leave panties there.
What?
No.
No, you told me you left your panties there.
Oh my
Would
God.
you know the panties were missing? I'm not understanding.
No, she
it.
told me
you just
I left my panties there.
I never said that. Excuse me.
She did a snap too?
No, I didn't take no snap.
No, I just put that in now. Don't worry about that.
Ms. Nicholas, did you tell him that?
No, I did
No.
not.
How did you figure this out?
First of all, her cell phone.
No, I don't even talk to anybody. I've been with my kids 24/7. Where you been? I know
Working.
you work. I know you work, but the
Working.
time when you're not working.
Time not working? Yeah, I'm with my cousin.
Are you sure your cousin or the other chick?
All right. Do you have an answer to that, Mr. Nicholas?
Can I ask you one question? Is it
Recently-
cheating if I were to go, kick it with another female and just talk to her about my problem? Is that considered
There's
cheating?
emotional cheating too, Mr. Nicholas.
I know I've been with other guys, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know I messed up in the past. That's the past.
Okay, can you please just explain to me what about the dude you slept with that looks dead on just like me?
Oh, I meant that one.
Oh, it just keeps getting not better. So, Mrs. Nicholas, did you sleep with someone that looks just like your husband?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
I told you and wrote a letter when you were out of business. Come on
please
now.
tell the court why.
Why did you do that? Yeah, tell me.
Why? I'm
serious.
sorry. It just looked like you.
Oh,
I mess with him, but it just looked like the old thing about you most of the time. Come on now.
I mean, what other reason do I need?
The reason I'm here, I want to do the DNA and prove him wrong, because I'm getting tired of hearing him saying that, oh, they're not my kids, they're not my kids. Come on. They just look like you.
But so does the other guy you slept with.
Sorry.
Do you understand why he potentially, maybe, could have some doubt? Do you understand?
Yeah, because I cheated on him, but all the time when I was
the kids don't look like me though.
They look like me, that's why. Come on now.
No, there's got to be a part of it where the kids got to look like me.
Yeah, they do now.
What I want to know is, how did it come to this in this marriage? Ms. Nicholas, explain to me, why are you going outside of your marriage, trying to find someone that looks like your husband to have sex with?
Because he treats me like at home.
Let's use better language in
Sorry.
the court.
He called me names. I know I messed up.
I called you names because you deserve it.
No, I've been with other guys, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But Mr. Nicholas, didn't you say in high school she had a bad reputation and yet you still married her?
Yeah, because you know why? It's not. I married her because You know, yeah, I was a nerd. I'll tell you that. I was fat, little chubby, little kid. You know what I mean? I was probably the rebound.
You're not the rebound.
Miss Nicholas, I gotta ask you, how many affairs have you had? Miss Nicholas, I gotta ask you, how many affairs have you had?
How many affairs when I was with him?
When was the last one? Yes.
The last time was
many?
his business trip.
Huh?
I mean, I said roll the letter and told you the truth. Excuse me.
How many? How many times?
How many times?
How many times have you had sex?
How many times? Less than 10 different guys.
While we're still married. While we're still married.
But some of them, I don't sleep with them. Yeah, I kissed them.
Yeah.
Is that cheating? Kissing is cheating?
Read,
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
read the Bible.
Yes, let me make that ruling right now. Yes, it is.
You know, is it
Ms.
cheating?
Nicholas,
Your Honor, he's been at this girl's house for 2-3 nights, and I'm
Yeah.
trying calling him,
I'll
and
prove
he
you.
never picks up.
you staying at another woman's house?
Pretty much, yeah.
See?
You all obviously never heard the phrase "two wrongs don't make a right."
Yeah,
have
that's,
you?
you know, that's
Whoa!
2 wrongs don't make a right. I know that, but the thing is, I gotta hear from another woman's perspective. What am I supposed to do? I can't just go talk to another guy, because if I were to talk to another guy, he's gonna be like, oh, Slick Rick, and come in and try to take my woman. You know what I mean? He's gonna be like, okay, that's your problems.
Mr. Nicholas, you know as a man you've gotten some things wrong.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
If you apologize,
And
we won't fight every single day like we at home. Just drop everything and start new.
How am I
like
gonna-
a normal
how-
couple.
Yeah, dude, after all the stuff
You
you did
both
to me, I
have
can't.
tears in your eyes right now.
I can't sleep. I haven't slept for days just because I'm stressing about you.
Sleep me in. No wonder you just keep on waking me up every time. I'm always with you 24/7. What? Okay, listen, Your Honor. He's accusing me that I'm cheating with another person, sneaking around at night, and half the time he's been awake and I'm always with him.
Sounds
That's
like
why-
to me that both of you are accusing the other one of doing a lot of things,
Yeah.
but the problem is that both of
Your
you
Honor-
are doing the
No,
other
Your
things.
Your Honor.
But at the
Can
end
I-
of the day, I'm looking at Mr. Nicholas right now, and I see a man that's standing here emotional still over his wife. So I see love. Despite all of this dysfunction, I see love. And what the court is trying to understand is we've got children here now that I'm sure love the both of you. And I'm trying to get down to the bottom of not just whether or not Mr. Nicholas is their father, but why you two can't seem to love each other appropriately when you obviously do love each other.
Yeah, I do love him.
Yeah, I do love him.
I just want everything to work out, all right? I want to be a happy family with white picket fence in front of our house. That's all I want. I'm tired of being hurt. All right,
I'm sorry
tired.
too. I'm sorry. That was the
No,
past.
that's-
Can you just let go of the past and start new for once? Like,
Nah, I'm sorry. It's gonna be done.
it's gonna be done?
It's done. I'm tired of being hurt.
Miss Nicholas, what would you like to say to your husband?
I love him a lot, but there's time I really do want to get out of the house because he's always just argue. I want to
I'm
stop
not
the arguing.
controlling. I never control you.
You never control me?
No.
Really?
I let you go out with your mom.
No, you don't. That's so lie.
Oh, no, don't.
We have the results here today, but I need some information before we get to the results. These results pertain to 2 beautiful children. You see them? Aren't they worth more than the tit for tat that you all do all day long?
Yeah.
Look at them. I believe they are worth the effort.
Come on now, tell me he don't look like me.
He does look like you. Come on.
Yeah, just because we got both ponytails, that doesn't mean anything.
What do you want from your marriage and your family?
I want him to stop calling me names for once and just be like a normal couple and just be there for the kids, not just say, oh, they're not my kids. I'm tired of hearing that. I hear that almost every single day.
And he wants you to stop cheating. Can you do that?
Yeah, I told him I stopped cheating. When my son was born, I said, I'm gonna stop everything. I'm gonna tell you the truth from now on, that day. I've been telling you the truth every single day.
All right, I think it's time for the results. Jerome, do you have the
Yes, I do. Here you go.
envelope? Thank you. When it comes to 4-year-old Naomi Nicholas,
Here we go.
Mr. Nicholas, I know she's been the apple of your eye. You love that little girl. It has been determined that you are her father.
I told you so. Get the life straight up, man. I told you so. I mean,
Yeah, that's one.
Are you ready for the next result?
Yes, ma'am.
How about this? If the result's true, I'm gonna get your 16 diamond ring back. How about that?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
So, with that said, Jerome,
Here you go, Your Honor.
thank you, sir. As it relates to 1-year-old Nathaniel Nicholas, it has been determined, Mr. Nicholas, that you are his father.
Exactly. I told you from the beginning. God. I told you.
How do you feel, Mr. Nicholas?
Relieved. Really relieved. I'm super happy. I'm gonna be the respectful father that they need.
Good. Miss Nicholas, you're very emotional right now. What do you feel?
I'm relieved. I've been telling him this is his kids, but every single day he said, "Oh, they're not my kids. They don't look like me." Come on now.
I apologize. Okay, I'm sorry.
Can you accept his apology? Can you understand, honestly,
Please,
as a woman, why this man would have some doubt? Everybody in here gets it. Do you? No, let's keep it real. Do you?
Yeah, I messed up.
Because the only way to move forward and change your past behavior is to realize and own what you've done wrong. Now, y'all done got it all wrong, both of you. But you've got 3 incredible reasons why you should try to get it right. Now, there are a lot of people that come before me where I go, I love it, I love it. Yes.
Okay.
This is what this courtroom is all
I gotta look up to him.
about. That's all right. That's wonderful to see. You all have been through it. You've done pretty much everything you guys can do to one another, but I still see love.
I just want to settle
And
down.
as long as there's love, there's hope. Mr. Leigh, you and your siblings claim the defendant was not fathered by your dad, Charles Leigh Sr., a former professional football player and 2-time Super Bowl champion who sadly passed away 10 years ago. Is that correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Patrick Leigh, you are tired of the plaintiffs denying that you share the same dad, and today's DNA results will prove your case that football star Charles Leigh Sr. was in fact your father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did you know about your mother's relationship with Charles Leigh Sr.?
My father used to come by the house all the time,
You've known him all your life.
all my life.
It wasn't revealed to you at 10 or 12 that
No,
this
ma'am.
is your father.
No,
You've
ma'am.
known him since you were born.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know that he was a football star, a Super Bowl champion? Did you know these things about his life?
In the beginning, I didn't know. People would come up to me and tell me, you know, your father is.
Excuse me, if you
your
wait
father,
a minute. If that's he had you all your life and you didn't know and you was hanging out with him, oh, my father was the type of person he
As
could
I was
tell
saying, Your
you
Honor, before,
about the story.
if you were
He'll
asking
tell
my
you.
question,
My father,
Everybody
in
who
Albany
he
know
is.
my father.
So if you his son, you don't know, you didn't know at first?
You didn't know?
So, Mr. Charles Leigh Jr., your father died 10 years ago. Why come to court now?
Well, actually, Your Honor, my father died 10 years ago, but my mom just passed away 9 months ago. My mom died September the 24th of 2015.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes, and we were sort of estranged from Patrick after my father had died. And there was never a blood test done.
Okay, I want to hear from Mr. Leigh. Why is it that you feel like they're questioning this now?
I have no clue. If you ask me, it may be having to do something with the will or just anything going on within our family. I don't know.
He never really looked like us, and people, even in the own family, would always say to him, and I felt bad sometimes when they would say to him, "Oh, Tinky ain't your father," or "You got that wrong." And he ended up coming to live with my mom. My mother and father, when I guess he's about 11 or 12 years old, his mom he was giving her problems. She dropped him off to my father. Basically, my father was renovating a house or something. He stayed down in that house down there until my father had the courage to go home to tell his wife that his outside child had been dropped to him. And when my mother found out, she told him to go get him. He is a child. And then my mother allowed him
And he was
to
bad.
come there. And
And
my
he was
mother
bad.
took him, he called my mother,
Excuse me,
"Ma,"
Your Honor,
and
that's not
everything.
true.
Okay,
Was not dropped
how
off.
did you come to live with them?
I have been having problems with my mom, okay? Due to the fact that, I didn't have a male figure around me. So I'm arguing, fighting, tearing up. So my mom's like, "I don't know what I'm gonna do with you." So she called my father. My father came to the house. She said, "Tinky, I'm having problems with him. I don't know what I'm gonna do with him." He said, "Well, I'm gonna take him with me. Let me take him and let me see what I can get done with him."
In Your Honor,
Now,
I
listen.
can say this. My father would bring home a stray dog and raise the dog.
Well, this is not a dog.
Yeah.
Right,
He
but what
told-
I'm saying,
then
but this is what I'm
but
trying
my
to say
father-
to you.
I get
is
what you're
this.
saying. Your point is, it wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise you whether he knew definitively or not that this was his biological child. He basically would look at him as a young man in need.
That was him.
If it was a question, then why is my father's name on my birth certificate?
Your father's name is on your birth
Yes, ma'am.
certificate.
We're not.
Do you have a copy of that?
Yes, I do.
We're not saying
Ron,
that.
can you please hand me?
We're not saying that we're not saying that because at that time, my father was having an
That's a copy,
affair
but I want her to
with
see
his
the
mother.
original.
And my father did sign the birth certificate because back then when he was a baby, you don't look like nobody. It was until he started getting older. He
Then
didn't
it
look like
became
any
a
other.
question.
Then it became a question. My father didn't
you.
deny him when he was a baby.
So what are you talking
she-
about? You're
because
not making
your
no
mother-
sense. And you
because
trying
you
to
had
make me
to
look
get
like
to
I'm
school.
crazy and I don't know what
You
I'm
had-
doing.
you had to
I don't
go
even
to
know the
school.
All
story.
right, let's get some
Come on,
control.
man.
Patrick, when you just a moment ago presented your birth certificate with your father's name on it, you presented your original birth certificate, and it is signed, and it is, your father's name is listed as father. How are you feeling?
I didn't know he
It's-
felt
it's
like
made-
Don't
that.
start talking.
I don't feel no kind of way. You brought this to me.
Let me
I ain't
check.
bring nothing. I should be standing where you at.
Patrick, I can see this is hurting you too.
Like I said, we're gonna see DNA.
Sir, you're not gonna out-talk me here today.
I'm sorry.
Now let's get something straight.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're not gonna run this thing, I do.
Okay.
Now, in order for me to give you a chance to respond to his story, I have to hear it.
Okay.
Mr. Leigh, was there ever any conversation, and I need to ask this, about the fact that he was a married man?
No. She didn't know it.
Well,
She didn't know he was a
Hey,
married
God
man.
Almighty.
Jesus.
Now, this is how I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you everything because obviously these people, first and foremost.
These people, now we these
we
people.
just brother
I'm
and
sorry,
sister.
excuse me.
Now we these people. You raised up in the house. My mother raised you. Now,
Mr.
now
Charles
we
Lee
these
and Miss
people.
Carla Lee don't know the story, okay? Because myself and her got into plenty of arguments. Your mother is a slut because she messed with a married man.
And
you ain't
I'll
nothing but
say
this
it
and
to
yada, yada,
today.
yada. So I'm like, oh,
That
really?
she-
I'm like,
if
I
she
don't know
is,
this.
she is.
I don't know
She
this, though.
knew.
I'm a baby.
Because
I'm a kid.
she knew my
I'm
mom.
a
She
kid.
knew my
Every-
father was
my parents
married.
been married.
Everybody
They've been
know.
married-
My
they've been
mother
together
been
since
with
they
my
were 12
father
years
since she
old.
was
But
12 years old.
most importantly, my father knew he was married.
Yeah,
Okay?
Exactly.
So therefore,
We
for him
we
to
didn't
tell my
blame.
mother,
He knew he was
didn't
married.
blame her.
That's what he
Who's to
do.
blame? You
He
can't
took
blame
care
my
of you.
mother.
Okay, let's get some order.
My father took
yeah.
care of his kids.
Yo, drama
he took
queen,
care of
take
you.
it somewhere else,
father-
kid.
We ain't had nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with it.
Well, you know what? As much as you have been talking, Charles Lee Jr. this morning, I will say what you just said was so correct. I see you all, it's an emotional day. You're dealing with the legacy of your father. You're dealing with things that adults created, situations adults created, and now you, the children, are living it out in the next generation.
Right.
And it's not easy because you don't
Your Honor.
understand how all this happened and what it all means. That's what I'm trying to help you understand.
Now, I'm going to tell you about this situation right here. No, I don't blame his mother, okay? And I had a real big issue with my father because I was a daddy's girl. And if you look at that screen, I look just like my daddy, okay? I haven't seen Patrick since 2007 when they named Blinker Stadium after my father. Before that, I couldn't tell you how long I had seen him. But I tell you, the most hurtingest feeling is when my father died. My brother had to make him go get in the car with us. He left my father's funeral.
In the middle
of
Walked
it,
down the-
got up and walked out.
And
Who in the world does that?
That is a lie.
You know-
The reason why I had to leave or I didn't get into the limousine with them was because I drove someone else's car out to the house to make sure everything was right. I had to bring that car back because that person did me a favor and they had to go to work and to school. So for them to do me a favor, I have to make sure they get their vehicle back. I wasn't refusing anything. That's what I'm saying. People put words in my mouth and make it seem like I'm the bad guy.
My whole thing, this is your father's.
Well, what he
You're riding
said,
with
well,
us.
if you
knew-
listen to what he's saying
He's
once
lying.
he knew he was invited into
lying.
the car and he could
He's been
go.
coming there making arrangements with us. What do you mean now all of a sudden?
Never.
You acting like he was not, he was in the paper.
So
He
let
was
me
in
ask
the
you this.
paper,
Let me ask you
obituary,
this.
everything.
Okay, but this doesn't make sense. So,
Right.
guys, this is why, and this is exactly why I sit here.
Yeah.
Because I hear the testimony and I can hear when it's inconsistent with the point you're trying to prove.
Right, yeah,
If
exactly.
he's trying to be all up in the family, I'm one of the kids and
Right.
y'all gonna recognize me.
Yeah.
He'd have been the first one in the limo.
Right.
He had somebody else's car. Earlier in your testimony, you mentioned the obituary, and I want to understand that. If you take a look, it says Charles Lee Sr. died peacefully, and he's survived by 4 children. And there are 4 children mentioned.
Yes.
And then there's an additional line, also survived by Patrick Lee of New York.
Yes. Yes.
And that was an error.
But wait a minute. No, it wasn't an error. Everybody did not know that my father had outside children.
Listen, everybody that just looks at this screen can understand why the writer wrote it that way. Now, I wish they would have consulted me because I could have given them better verbiage.
Right. Well,
And then they wouldn't seem like, and also these people, because that's what it reads like,
Well, you know,
intentionally or
we
not.
didn't do that intentionally.
No, I don't believe you did.
At all.
Now, speaking of the fact that you have to figure out how to list outside children, there is another child in question that was born outside of your parents' marriage.
Yes.
I'd like to hear from Kyle. Ron, can you please escort Kyle into the courtroom?
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna go up to the witness stand right next to the judge.
How you doing, man?
Hello, Kyle. Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to ask you, when did you find out that Charles Lee Sr. was your father?
When I was 6 years old, I walked in on my mother basically having sex with my father. Mother brought me to the side and told me that that was my real father.
Oh my goodness. Did you all ever ask your father about Kyle?
I got on the phone and I called my father. He told me, hell no.
So he told you Kyle was not his biological child. Did you grow up having a relationship with him?
From 6 to 12, like, he was coming to get me, taking me out places and stuff. Like, he would give me school clothes and stuff. Like, he was there for me, basically, that I know of.
Is Charles Lee Sr. on your birth certificate?
Oh, man. I only got Evidence that my birth certificate on my stepfather signed.
Let me see that, sir. So listed on your birth certificate is your stepfather's name.
Yes.
And until 6 years old, you thought that was your biological father until your mother told you.
Yes. They had a parade for my father when they named the field after him. He got his own field in Albany. I was there mostly older folks.
And when he was that,
But you
we
never
didn't even know he was there.
You
He
never
didn't-
came up and addressed the family, you just went.
Your Honor? Oh yeah, and not only like I've been to my other brother Dev like before I even knew he was my brother. Like we used to always see each other in the neighborhood.
Really?
Like, just as friends though. Like
ever since me and him met, it's always been. He knows people that I know, and we chill in the same circumference. We all would be chilling. I never knew.
So
that
you
was
all
little
were
brother.
friends and knew each other from the neighborhood and never knew you were brothers.
Yes, ma'am.
And so
Yes, ma'am.
it's interesting to me and almost ironic that this young man who does not have your father's name listed on his birth certificate, you readily accept. And yet the gentleman that your father brought home to live with you all, raised him with you all, and his name is on his birth certificate.
Because he thought it was.
You have questions.
Right, he questioned.
Why is that?
Because of how the resemblance.
If you, I'm just gonna say it right now.
The
If you
resemblance.
look at 1, 2, and 3, and 4, oh, you know we related. You kind of look over there, it's questionable. I have been questioning this since he was a baby, when he was a baby. You understand? Because like he
You
said,
don't
I
see
lived
the
in that
physical
house.
resemblance
the
or the
older
feature.
he got, the
No.
more he start looking like somebody else's grandson.
Well, maybe he looks like his mom.
No, he don't look like
he
her
don't look like her either.
Listen, it seems obvious that you all have a level of resentment towards Patrick, probably because that you knew what kind of pain your mother had to internalize to be able to raise him, forgive your father, and go on about her life. Because as much as you all say you invite him in, if you sat where I sit, you can see the energy that goes across the aisle towards this young man. I mean, you can feel it. No, I'm done. I'm done hearing testimony because I know that the only way we can figure out how to move forward, we got to get the results.
That's
Ron,
my bro, and I
the
love you,
envelopes,
Pat.
please. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics. Now, in order to determine if Kyle Lane is the brother of Charles Lee Jr. and Carla Lee, we performed a DNA siblingship test, and these are the results. In the case of Lee versus Lee, it has been determined by this court that Charles Lee Jr. and Carla Lee are related to Kyle Lane.
Thank you. I knew that. Thank you, Jesus.
The next result are for Patrick Lee. In the case of Lee versus Lee, it has been determined by this court that Charles Lee Jr. and Carla Lee are not related to Patrick Lee.
Lord Jesus! Lord Jesus!
No,
but I
we're not
love
doing
you.
this. We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
Please,
Patrick.
if he wants contact, please step over there. If he doesn't
Give him a minute. That was tough. And Miss Lee, I know your thank you, Jesus, was not to be evil, but I think it
wasn't for
hurt
evil.
him.
It's the
No, it's the stress of not knowing all these
My
years.
mother went through.
Just give him a minute. I'm very sorry.
You know, life goes on. I mean, you know, ain't nothing I could do about it, but I'm good. I just want to go home to my boys.
I want you to understand that for a man to take you as a child into his home with his other children and his wife and jeopardize the family he had built, that means he had a lot of love for you.
Give him a hug.
Just ask him.
I don't want.
He doesn't want
I'm
a
good.
hug right now.
I'm good.
Ms. Chappell, you say the defendant, Mr. Todd, is without a doubt your daughter, Walesia's biological father. You say the only reason he denies her is because his fiancée, Ms. Cullins, doesn't want him in your life.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you're suing Mr. Todd for $2,475 for babysitting expenses and for lost wages.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Todd, you state there's no chance that the child in question is your daughter. You say Ms. Chappell will stop at nothing to get you back, even if it means pinning a child on you that isn't yours.
True, Your Honor.
You and your fiance are countersuing in the amount of $375 for car windows you claim the plaintiff destroyed. So, Ms. Chappell, why do you feel you're owed $2,475 for these expenses?
Because I had a job, Your Honor, and he was babysitting the baby for me. And after he didn't babysit anymore, I had to start paying $75 a week for babysitting fees and lost wages, and I didn't have a babysitter, and I couldn't keep up with the babysitting fees, so I had to quit my job, and I don't have a job anymore. And here's my papers right here.
Jerome, will you hand me those, please?
I have never watched her baby, Your Honor. I don't even know when she had a job. I ain't never saw her with no uniform.
And you've never watched Walesia?
I never watched Walesia.
Your Honor, he has...
I don't even have a place to stay myself, so how
At his cousin's house, at Shawarma house. He has dropped me off at...
All right, just a minute. You two were in a sexual relationship. Right?
Yes. It wasn't no relationship.
It wasn't a relationship.
No.
You were just having sex.
Just having sex.
If you were having sex and she got pregnant, were you using protection every time?
No. At the time when we met, I was pregnant.
But
we never used...
when we met, she was pregnant.
She was already pregnant with a baby. But he accepted me with
But the other baby, Walesia...
With someone else's baby.
All right. Why is it you doubt that Walesia is your child?
Because at the time, she was messing around with other guys, and by me being young and just doing crazy stuff, I go and mess with her at the same time too. So she was messing with men all at one time. But this one never my girl. I was in a relationship with someone at that time, and she was messing around too. So at that, she felt.
So what you're saying, it was an understanding that you all had sex, unprotected sex, but that you also were having sex with other people.
It wasn't no 4 years. She was having sex with other. I had a girl at that time. I was in love. I had a main girl.
He couldn't be in love.
But I still had a main girl. Yeah, I was messing with her.
So, Ms. Chappell, do you admit that you were having sex with other people in addition to Mr. Todd during the window of conception?
No, Your Honor.
She a liar.
She was not even in the picture, Your Honor, so she has nothing to do with this. We was
what
together
picture that
here.
was?
2011, I was pregnant with someone else, baby. Our baby was already here when they met, Your Honor.
All right.
Our babies were here before she came in the picture.
All right. Ms. Cullins, Mr. Todd, you also have a counterclaim.
Yes.
You are asking for $375.
Yes, Your Honor.
For car windows you say the plaintiff destroyed. Please explain to me the basis of that.
On a particular day, I had dropped Mr. Todd off to pick up his phone.
Lies.
Actually, Miss Chappell stole his phone.
Stole my phone.
I dropped him off. Miss Chappell,
I bought him a phone, Your Honor.
Approached me and bust my window out of my car. I called the police on the scene, and I had proof that she bust out my windows on my car. She ran. I have
she came to
a
where
receipt.
She was. That's
how she get where I'm at.
And I have proof, and I have a police report that she bust my windows out on my car.
Do you have that evidence here today?
I do, ma'am.
I'd like to see it, please. Thank you. This is an incident report which says there was damage to private property.
And I do have the receipt too, Your Honor.
Windows were damaged. I'd like to see the receipt too, please.
This is proof too.
This is the receipt for the window repair, total $375.
Yes, Your Honor, that Ms. Chappell did.
Ms. Chappell, did you bust the windows out of her car?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
You did?
Because she came at me and we had an altercation. She came all the way from Four Seasons.
It's about Walter.
And he was already out there in the apartment where we was. He was in the complex. She thought we was together, so she came where we was at. That's how she lived in Four Seasons. We was in 2500 Central Street. She came where I was at. That's how her window got bugged. She came at me with a lot of emotion, like we was about to fight. We did get into an altercation.
Hold on. When she came at you with this emotion, was she outside of the car?
Yes. ma'am. That's how her window got busted, and she pulled up where I was at in the apartments where I hang at my cousin's house. She came where I was. He was already out there because we had been together already. That's what she knew. That's why she came where we was at. And I bought him that phone that she said I stole. I took the phone back, Your Honor.
All right, so the bottom line is you do admit you bust the windows out.
Yes, ma'am, I did because that was self-defense.
All right, self-defense.
Yes, ma'am.
What she do?
She's mad that we're together. That's why she cares about
I care less about them being together, Your Honor. What we're here for is the DNA, about the kid. That's what I want to hear. That's the only thing I want to know. Is he the father of my baby? They can have each other. I don't want them. I want the blood test for my child.
Ms. Cullins, I want to bring you into this briefly because I want to understand what it is you know about the situation. Ms. Chappell says you don't know anything because you weren't even involved in this entire time. The baby was already born. So what exactly do you know about it?
When I first met Miss Chappell, we let her move in with me and Mr. Todd. We let her move in.
Wait a minute. You let Miss Chappell move into the house with you two?
Yes, because where she was living at was not healthy for her, the baby. And when I had a conversation with Mr. Todd, he said, this is a girl trying to put a baby on me, saying that this could be my baby. I said, well, we can move her in just so we can get tests to see if this is your baby. Therefore, that we can move forward with it. It didn't work out that way. We was taking the baby when she's out having sex with different guys, coming in different times of night while she's gone.
Okay, and so you feel like you moved her in and then she was avoiding getting the DNA test.
And what made me have doubt that this is not his baby, she doesn't look like Mr. Todd. And my cousin came and told me, she was saying it could be someone else's baby than Mr. Todd. So that's why I have doubt, because my cousin came and told me.
Ms. Chappell, do you ever recall saying that baby Walesia had another father?
She's lying.
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
Ms. Chappell, then let me ask you, why are you so certain that Mr. Todd is your child's father?
Because when we was together, I told him that I was pregnant, and he was like, oh, this your third child, whatever. Well, he was like, our child would be the prettiest child, whatever. And I was like, okay, it's cool. We're gonna have our baby. And we came to agreement that he would be there for her. And when I had her at the hospital, him, his brothers, all them came
to the hospital.
Did you go to the hospital, Mr. Todd?
Yes, I went to the hospital. Yes, ma'am.
And why did you go
I
to
went to the hospital because I was going to do an interview downtown at that same time around she had the baby. Once I got in there, the doctor said, who is the father? What one of y'all the father? I said, who it looked like? The doctor said, it looked like my friend.
No, it said your
On
brother.
God.
It said it looked like his brother.
That's on God.
It said it looked
On
like
God.
his brother.
No.
He had his two brothers with him. It said it looked like his brother.
Let's get some order. Let's get some order. Ms. Chappell, you have a witness. I want to hear from her. Ms. Matthews, what do you have to add to this?
My daughter was carrying her second child when she started messing with Mr. Todd, Your Honor. She was on her second child. She started having a relationship with him while she was carrying someone else's baby. After she delivered that other baby, then she ended up pregnant by him, which is Walesia, who looked just like him. He is my grandbaby father, and he know this. He know this.
But
this young lady, I don't know nothing about her. I don't know her because she wasn't nowhere around when these two started messing around. He was on his first baby mama. That's who he was messing with at the time when he was messing with my daughter.
Oh,
he was with his first baby mama.
I wasn't messing with no baby mama. I was messing with my girl who I was with for 8 years.
All right, listen,
But she wasn't
She is not my baby mama.
Listen. Oh, my God. It's like y'all playing tic-tac-toe or something. I mean, you just here, there, everywhere.
Playing tic-tac-toe, but this is his baby. He know it.
This sexual activity with no protection, no regard. You all, is this what y'all doing just for a daily activity?
She just came back around me, Your Honor. We weren't even around each other. She just had came back, and I had sex with her. She said, I'm pregnant.
Lies!
I had moved from Overlook. They still staying up there. I moved.
Rizzo.
She came to her cousin's house where I was hanging at. I had sex with her.
Okay,
She
what
said,
about when
I'm
you
pregnant.
came to Decatur at our house and all
That's
that?
before all that.
Living with us for several months before he met this
So hold
lady.
on, Ms. Chappell.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ultimately,
Yes.
you say he came to the hospital and inquired about who the child looked like.
Yes,
Why do you think, if he came to the hospital to see the child, if you feel like you all talked about having a baby, why? Why do you think he's denying the child right now? What is his motive?
Like he said, I've been messing with other men, but he never denied her until he get with his fiance. She put in his head that this not his baby. Yes, I did live with them, Your Honor, but I did not get to argue with them. I never left on a bad term.
She wasn't
we
even
was in
the
good
picture.
term when I got my bags and I left. And we was never in an argument or anything, Your Honor. We was in good terms. They still would call me and talk. They did not put my things out. I grabbed my things and I asked
When I was staying with them, Your Honor.
Miss Cullins,
Your Honor, we had.
Her mama even came to me and said, that baby looked like you, cause the mama know I've been denying the baby when I was staying with them. The mama even came to me and said, that baby looked like you.
You wouldn't deny the baby.
I was denying the baby when I was staying, but I was buying the baby pamper. You came to me and said it. You said that baby looked just like you.
Mr. Todd, is that what you're offering for testimony? Because if you're saying that her mother came and said the child looked like you, that would then support the theory that it was your child.
Thank you. That is his child. That's his child.
She said, I've been claiming the baby. I never claimed the baby. That what made her come and say the baby do look like me. Because she know I wasn't never claiming the baby.
Okay.
I haven't never been claiming the baby. But even before I met her,
I need to know one thing from Ms. Cullins. Why is it you allowed Ms. Chappell to move in? You say it's because you wanted to have a DNA test.
And because he had said, this someone that's saying that this is his baby, and the baby was in a position where they was at, it was healthy for the baby then.
He acknowledged to you that there's a woman out there that says she has my child.
Correct.
But they are not living in conditions that I'm comfortable with. I want to have a DNA test. Can they come live with us until we figure this out?
And she was scared.
So again,
and she was scared to go
Mr. Todd, you then acknowledged again it was a possibility that you could be this child's father.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so what are your hopes for today?
I hope the baby don't come out my cause she ain't never a problem. And she don't want to. She don't want to mess with her other baby dad. All the rest of them. She want to come to me and mess with me.
Well, you want to mess with her too.
But all the other men mess with her.
Thank you.
Look.
She mad because
hey, bottom line is you got to pay to play.
Right.
You acting like it's a game. No, hold on, Miss Cullins. I'm talking.
Yes.
That's the part that you are missing in this. Y'all acting like it's a game. Then pay to play. Meaning, if it happens that you are the father, then you have to step up and support.
Thank you.
When you sleep with a woman without using protection, and you know that other men are doing the same, you know you're at risk for not just pregnancy, but STDs, HIV and AIDS.
That's right.
You can play Russian roulette with your own life if you want to, but you're not gonna do it to this baby.
Right.
So ultimately, what is your hope, Miss Chappell?
Well, I know that this is his baby, and I hope that he's ready to help take care of her and be in her life.
Jerome, I'm ready for the results.
Results. Thank you.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Chappell versus Todd Cullins, when it comes to 3-year-old Walesia Chappell, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Todd, you are not the father. And you're smiling, Miss Chappell?
Yes, because at the end of the day,
you need to find
this is his child.
girl.
What that did, they say, I ain't having sex with no one else, you on. I know this the only man I was messing with at the time.
I know it.
Miss Chappell, you were obviously having sex with at least one other person during the window of consent.
But at least we do know that he's not the father.
Yes, thank you. Out of our life. Yes, thank you.
Okay, now that we know the truth,
yes,
we can start by these claims you have against one another. Ms. Chappell, you came in suing the defendant for $2,475 in lost wages because you said he would not babysit for the child and you lost your job. You could not sue him because he was not able to babysit.
Yes.
And now, since we've determined that, in fact, while he is not his biological child,
Yes.
he doesn't even have a moral obligation.
Right.
Or legal obligation.
Yes, Your Honor.
To babysit for this child. For that reason, your claim is denied.
Yes, Your
Judgment for the defendant. You all came with a counterclaim saying that Ms. Chappell busted the windows out of Ms. Cullins' car. You provided receipts that totaled $375. Ms. Chappell stood in court today and admitted she busted the windows out the car. And so that's a very easy determination. You do owe her for the $375 that it took to repair her car. So for that reason, judgment for the counterclaimant. Ms. Walker, you say before your son Delante's tragic death, he had doubts that he had fathered the defendant's 1-year-old son, Delante Royal. You claim you need today's DNA results so you can embrace this child as your grandson. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm very sorry for your loss. Ms. Royal, you claim that you are 100% positive that Ms. Walker's deceased son is the biological father of your child, and today's results will prove paternity. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Walker, explain to the court why today's results are so important to you.
Well, Your Honor, my son was tragically murdered. The day of his passing, my son left something behind with me, and that was his doubt. And I am here today to get the doubt taken care of. Her child, her son, I don't know if that's my grandchild or not. And it hurts. So I would love to embrace that child.
And I can tell.
Yeah.
I can see the tears in your eyes.
Yes.
That doubt is really eating away.
It is.
At you.
Me and my family, we love her son. We love him. But we just can't go all the way. We can't be 100% there because we just don't know. We just don't know. And we need to know. We need those answers. We need to know. My son would have wanted that. He did want that. You know, he had doubts.
It touched me when you said your son left something behind.
Yes, he did.
And we want to say he left a son.
Right.
But you said he left his doubt.
He left his doubt.
With you.
Yes.
And that is very hard for you to carry that.
It is. It's weighing on my shoulders, Your Honor. Because I have nothing but love. I want nothing but love to give to that child. But I can't give it without knowing for sure.
So, Ms. Royal, you hear Ms. Walker express the fact that Delante, her deceased son, left behind doubt. You don't think there's any reason to doubt?
No, Your Honor. The reason why I say that, I have been completely loyal to him. There's no other person that can say, this may be my child, this is my child. I am 100% sure that this is Delante's son.
I remember one day, to fuel his doubts, they got in an argument. He seen text messages between her and a guy around the time when she conceived. And so he doubted. He had doubts.
So tell me what happened that day.
One morning, I overhear them arguing. You know, they got the puppy love going on. I hear them arguing. I didn't think nothing of it. So it got louder than usual. So I go in there, I'm like, what's going on? You know, Mom, she's H, she's this, she's that. She's about 3 months pregnant at this time. And I said, well, why you say that, Delante? Cause she's hear text messages between her and this guy around the time she got pregnant. I'm just shocked. No, not her. You know, cause she painted this pretty picture. Not her, she's not that type of girl. He said, Mom, you don't know her like you think you do.
And you're laughing as she's testifying, Ms. Royal. Do you remember these text messages between this guy?
Your Honor, he had came in late night. You know, I had my suspicions too that he was cheating. I'm pregnant. I don't have nothing else to do but sit in his house. So when he came in the house, I started going through his phone, which I didn't find anything. So after that, he caught me. Yes, he did. He said, if you think I'm cheating, you can get your stuff and leave. Well, I was trying to get my stuff and leave. I got my phone. He grabbed my phone to see who I was calling. It was an older dude. I called him my brother. He's just a person I looked up to also. I let him go through the messages. He called me Shorty. I had no problem with him calling me that because that's not nothing to me. I call this boy my brother. He's an older person.
That's not how you portrayed it to me, Your Honor. You portrayed it to me like they were sexually active.
Ooh.
Oh, so your son was convinced when he told you, Ma, you don't know her.
Yes.
You felt like he was telling you there's a lot going on that I haven't told you about.
Yep.
But I'm aware of.
Yep. That exactly.
All right. So I want to understand as well, so your relationship, you guys were boyfriend and girlfriend?
We was together for 2 years.
All right, and then you ended up living in Ms. Walker's house after you found out you were pregnant?
Yes.
So take me to the moment when you found out you were pregnant.
The moment we found out we was pregnant, he told me before that I was pregnant even before I knew I was pregnant. Yeah. And when we got to the place, he was excited, she was excited.
Yeah, I was happy.
We was all excited.
I actually took her to get, when they told me, my son came to me, he said, Mom, what if I tell you that I got a baby on the way? I said, with who? Ladybug. I'm like, okay. So I immediately get on the phone with her, we're gonna go take a test today. We went and took the test, came back positive. We all were happy. We enjoyed that moment. The day of the birth, we're all in there, we're all happy. It was her family members. He embraced that child. He kissed the baby on the forehead and everything. She asked him, she said, Delante, do you want a DNA test now?
Right in the hospital?
Yes. He laid his head on my shoulder. He said, first he said, Mom, I think I'm gonna throw up when he see the baby. And so when she asked him, did he want a DNA test, he looked around, seen her family members, he told her, no. But then later on that day, he looked at me and Mom said, yes, I need a DNA test.
Oh. So in front of everyone in the hospital, when both sides of the family were there and everyone was so excited, he didn't want to ruin the moment or seem disrespectful.
Or embarrass her.
Embarrass her. So he just said, no, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And then later he came to you personally and said, Ma,
I need a test.
I do need the test.
Yes.
So Miss Royal, did you know that he had gone to his mother and said, I really need a test?
No, Your Honor, because I asked him twice. I didn't care about the doubts. He named my child after him.
So it's your testimony. The reason why I kept asking him, do you want one and do you want one, is because I knew it was his child.
I just know.
And so if you want one, let's get it so we can get it done.
Why he didn't sign a birth certificate, Your Honor?
Your Honor, he didn't sign it because he didn't have his ID. When we kept telling him he was being irresponsible, that was not my fault. He even got his dad's first name and middle name.
Okay.
I would have gave him his last name, but he did not have that ID. So that was not my fault.
So do you believe he would have signed that birth certificate if he had brought his ID?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe it.
You just thought he was being irresponsible and he just forgot it. It was so much going on.
Yes.
Your Honor, when she stated that she was pregnant, I told him, for this baby to have your last name, you have to have an ID to sign the birth certificate to give that baby your last name. He'd known this, she was probably 2, 3, 4 months. So he had months, time, nothing but time, to get this ID if he really wanted to sign that birth certificate. So I believe that he procrastinated for that very reason.
Oh, you believe he was avoiding it on purpose?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So how soon after baby Delante was born did your son unfortunately pass away?
3 weeks.
Oh.
3 weeks.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So 3 weeks later?
Yes, 3 weeks later, Your Honor. I drawn to him and Ladybug, because that's all I had left, He was my oldest child, but he was still my baby. So I needed that comfort.
So you say you were drawn to Ms. Royal?
Yes.
You clung to them because you really wanted this to be your grandchild.
Yes.
And it would be a little piece of your son left
Yes.
in the world.
Yes, Your Honor.
And
yes.
so what was the bond like in the beginning? Tell the court about that.
You couldn't break us apart. We was together morning, noon, and nights. When I woke up, he was there. When he woke up, I was there. He was my son. I love that little boy. I love him, but the doubts are still there. That's what's killing me.
So as much as you love him, as much as you spend time with him and want to give him the world, when you look at him, you still have doubts.
In the back of my head, yes, it's still there.
You know, I know in this courtroom, we always say you can't go on looks, but it's human nature.
Yeah.
When you look at the baby, do you see your son? Do you say, I see him?
Right there. They look like they got the same chin a little. Yeah.
But when you're spending time with him, you don't look at him and go, that's my grandchild.
In the beginning, I did. In the beginning, I did.
What happened? What changed? How did you start pulling away?
I think time, like me dealing with my son's death, and then me remembering his doubt. Because I blocked it out, you know, because I was dealing with my son's death. So the doubt came back.
When she said they had doubts, I never knew. Like, cause, you know, I kept asking for the DNA test. I had no problem with me. He always say, my boy, my boy. When he passed, like before he had passed, they had a bond. They would sleep with each other. He'd be at my house with my baby, with his baby. 24/7, what he doing when he not with me? What he doing? What my baby doing with my son? So, like, when y'all say doubts, I don't believe it, because I'm here today to prove it.
I can see when you look at the baby how much it means to you to get this cleared up, Ms. Royal. And I know it's hard, because if you know for certain that Delonte is your child's father, then you know for certain your child will never know his father.
Right.
And that's painful.
He had no of him, though.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't want to make you ladies wait any longer. You've been through so much. Miss Walker, have you prepared yourself either way? What will I do if he's not my grandson? Have you thought about it?
No. That's something I can't prepare for.
Can I ask you this? This happens in certain cases, and I often ask this because the truth is always the best path.
Yes.
But we're all human.
Yeah.
And so there's a part of me that says, do you even want to know for certain?
Oh, yeah.
You do. Because you understand what I mean, that you could just move through this. You have these beautiful pictures of your son holding this beautiful baby. You have this relationship with Miss Royal and with baby Delonte.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, you've said to yourself, I want the truth.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I do.
And I have it for you.
Thank you.
Jerome, the envelope, please. Thank you.
You're welcome.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. Because there wasn't a blood card available to test the DNA of the deceased, Delonte Ross, we performed a DNA test with his surviving parent, Monique Walker. With that being said, the results determined if there is a viable relationship between the child, Delonte Royal, and Monique Walker. Here are the results. In the case of Walker versus Royal, when it comes to 15-month-old Delonte Royal, it has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Monique Walker and Delonte Royal is 99.99%.
Period.
You are related.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
Period. Period.
honor.
Almost
Thank
start
you.
crying.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Know that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm gonna thank you, not just this court, this is why we do it. I'm gonna thank you for Delonte, your grandbaby.
Yes.
For having the courage to do that. And Ms. Royal, I know you feel vindicated in this moment, but I will say this. Now that you are the mother of a son, I will tell you one thing for certain. If your son ever whispered in your ear, "Mommy, I need something," you will be setting out a course to get it.
Oh yeah. This my mom Dukes.
Oh.
I know. Shoot. I would have did the same thing. I'm not mad at her.
Good.
That's my mom. So
How does that feel to hear?
I love her.
Oh, I love that. So, Miss Royal, you are a young woman, but you said something important, and sometimes I like to give people's own words back to them to empower them. And when I said that baby Delonte, unfortunately, would never know his father in the physical sense, and that is truly unfortunate.
Yes, it is.
You said, but he will know of him. And I think now this is the most important thing you can do going forward, is allow Ms. Walker and the family and everybody to share stories and to create a photo album and do all of these things for baby Delonte so that he will understand who his father was, that his father loved him, and most importantly, who the man is whose name he carries.